minta maaf. Saya ucapkan terima kasih kepada Miss Andi Febriana Tamrin karena sudah bersedia untuk menerima himpunan kami untuk bekerja sama melakukan untuk mengadakan preparation TOEFL ini. Harapan kami ke depannya semoga akan lebih banyak lagi kegiatan-kegiatan yang bisa terlaksana dengan bantuan atau berkolaborasi dengan prodi ke depannya. Dan harapan saya melalui kegiatan ini yang dibawakan oleh Sertakim, kita selaku lembaga Himasaris, kita ya maaf keluar lagi. Saya lagi semoga kedepannya yang diadakan saat ini kita tidak hanya mengambil dari sisi organisasinya kita, tapi harapannya kita sebagai orang-orang berorganisasi sudah diperlengkapi juga dengan materi pengetahuan akademik kita. Saya kira seperti itu saja. Terima kasih, saya kembalikan kepada MC.
Baik, terima kasih banyak Kak Immanuel. Sambutan berikutnya oleh Ketua Program Studi Sastra Inggris Universitas Fajar sekaligus pelindung Himasaris Space Universitas Fajar kepada Miss Andi Febriana Tamrin SSM Hum, dipersilakan.
Okay, thank you very much, Alessandro, for your opportunity. Yeah, I would like to say Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to everyone and good morning. Assalamualaikum for Mr. Takim. Where are you, Mr. Takim? Hi. Okay, thank you very much for accepting the request of our students. Yeah.
Thanks for having me, ma'am.
Okay. All right. First of all, I would like to say I'm very grateful for the students, and also I'm very happy that you finally make a move amid of the COVID-19 pandemic. Ya. Seperti yang saya selalu tekankan sama adik-adik, sebenarnya berkegiatan itu sebenarnya tidak perlu tunggu kapan tatap muka ya. Online pun bisa. Finally ada yang satu kegiatannya jadi. Semoga hari ini kegiatan kita berjalan dengan baik dan lancar, dan peserta yang mengikuti, saya pun mengucapkan banyak terima kasih kepada peserta, baik yang berasal dari Universitas Fajar, prodi lain, ataupun yang berasal dari luar Universitas Fajar. Terima kasih telah menghadiri acara dari Himpunan Mahasiswa Sastra Inggris Universitas Fajar. Selamat bergabung. Semoga ilmu yang didapatkan pada hari ini bermanfaat for your futures ya. Later on dapat digunakan dalam masyarakat, bermanfaat dalam kegiatan-kegiatannya ya. Sepertinya itu saja. Semoga hari ini menyenangkan bagi adik-adik. Selamat berkegiatan. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Saya kembalikan kepada MC ya. Silakan Ando.
Baik, terima kasih Miss atas sambutannya. Sekali lagi saya ingatkan beberapa aturan yang harus diikuti agar tidak mengganggu selama kegiatan berlangsung. Yang pertama, audionya harap dalam posisi off dan videonya dalam posisi on. Kemudian bagi yang ingin bertanya, pada saat pemberian materi berlangsung, boleh melayangkan pertanyaannya pada kolom chat. Namun, pertanyaan-pertanyaan tersebut akan dibahas pada sesi diskusi, yaitu setelah sesi pemberian materi selesai. Baik. Masuki acara inti pemberian materi dengan tema Improve Your English Skills and Achieve Your Achievements Through TOEFL Amid the COVID-19 Pandemic. Tanpa berlama-lama lagi, langsung saja kepada Mr. Mustaqim Haniru, SSM Uplink TESOL, kami persilakan. Halo, Sir.
So Alessandro, can I start now? Tadi tiba-tiba freeze.
Yes, Sir.
Can you all hear my voice?
Yes.
Assalamualaikum
Clearly.
warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay.
Waalaikumsalam.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And good morning,
Morning.
everyone. First of all, thank you for having me for you are Unifa student, especially English literature student. I'm very sure that you have been familiar with me because I've been teaching in some of your classes. But if you're not from Unifa students, by the way, my name is Mustaqim Maniru. I'm a lecturer in Unifa, but I'm also an English teacher in a private English institute in Makassar. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to start immediately with what we're going to discuss today. Several points that I'm going to discuss today. I'm going to give you a little bit descriptions about the TOEFL ITP. So specifically, we're going to talk about TOEFL ITP. I'm going to discuss about some of the skills that are tested, including some of the typical questions that you're going to have in TOEFL ITP, TOEFL tests. And also, at the final session, we're going to have practice session where I will give you some of the questions, some of the sample questions specifically related to structure and written expression, since this is the most, sort of the most challenging, section in TOEFL ITP, and next we're going to continue with Q&A sessions. Okay, jadi ini beberapa outline yang akan kita bahas hari ini. Saya akan bahas tentang deskripsi tentang TOEFL beserta skill-skill yang akan dites dalam tes TOEFL ITP, and then beberapa typical questions, tipe-tipe pertanyaannya seperti apa, and also we are going to end with maybe before we proceed to Q&A, kita akan ada sedikit praktis ya, praktis beberapa soal berkaitan dengan structure and written expressions, and we're gonna talk about the answer later. Okay, yeah, let's start with the skill tested. So there are mainly three main skills that are going to be tested in the TOEFL ITP. By the way, when I'm talking about TOEFL ITP in this case, I'm talking about TOEFL, specifically TOEFL ITP. Sebenarnya TOEFL itu ada beberapa tipenya, tapi yang common itu di Indonesia TOEFL ITP. We have TOEFL IBT actually, but I'm not that familiar with TOEFL IBT simply because I've never taken one. And I think it's not really common in Indonesia, but it is if you are planning to continue your study in America, in United States of America, or in other Western countries. And TOEFL ITP is much more complicated and much more challenging. That's why I'm going to focus on the TOEFL ITP, which is the common one. And I'm very sure that when we're talking about TOEFL, it's everywhere. You're applying for university, you want to continue your master degree, you want to apply for a job, or even you want to live in other country. I think it's one primary requirement. Your listening ability, and the second one is structure and written expression. This is like more on a grammar test, and the last one is a reading comprehension. So I'm going to talk about each one of the skill specifically. The general description about the skill, common questions, some of the typical questions that you're going to have when you are taking your TOEFL test. And we'll continue with the practice. Oke, yang pertama tentang listening comprehension. Untuk listening comprehension, the total of 50 questions and the timing is about 40 minutes. So that's the listening part. That is the first part that you will have when you get your TOEFL ITP test. Oke, jadi ada 50 soalnya. And all the questions are multiple choice questions. And the three part in the listening sections, the first one is part A, is 30, the total of 30 questions. This is the conversation, a short dialogue, the total of 30 questions. And the second part is part B, 7 to 9 questions, and part C, 11 to 13 questions. So what makes the difference between part 1, part B, and part C is part 1 is like a very short dialogue, a dialogue, short conversation, but in part B, you still have a dialogue and a conversation, but the dialogue is longer, so much longer than the first one. And one session of dialogue normally comprises of about 3 to 5 questions for the one single session of the conversation. And what make it different with part C is a longer talk. It's not a conversation anymore. It's sort of a monologue. So it's like a talk from a professor in a seminar or maybe in a lecture. And the questions for one session of the talk comprises of 3 to 5 questions, but the average is 4 questions. So that's what I can say about the general topic, the general, the part, and the general question about listening comprehension. By the way, I'm going to make this a little bit more interactive. So just in case you have any question, you can feel free to ask question either in the chat box or you can just tell me immediately. So you don't have to wait me or you don't have to wait the end of the session to ask questions. So I just let you know about that. Okay? Karena kadang-kadang kan kalian tiba-tiba terbesit pertanyaan terus nanti pas di akhir you forget about your question if you don't write it down. So I think if you have any question, feel free to ask. Okay, that's about the part of the question. Now we'll proceed to the some of the common skills that are going to be tested in your listening section. Some of the common skill that you're going to have that you need to understand in listening comprehension test is these are the common one, not all of them. This is especially applicable only for part 1. For example, like focus on the second line, because as we know that when you maybe not as we know, because maybe some of you haven't done the TOEFL test before. But if you have, I think you know that in a conversation, the first part, normally there are 2 speakers. Biasanya ada 2 pembicaranya. And normally the questions or the answer for that question normally can be found in the second line or in the second speaker. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to ignore the first speaker, but it just means that you need to have more attention on the second speaker. And I'm going to give the example on that part later. And also understanding the synonym. The reason why it is important for the second to understand synonym, because correct in your question in the TOEFL, it's not the exact thing, it's not the exact vocabulary that the speaker use, so the answer normally use the synonym of the phrases words.
Oh, it seems Mr. Takim has a bad connection. Takim, what happened?
Yeah, I suddenly.
Hi. Go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, about avoiding similar sound, because most of the time, I think the common problem that people have is when they answer the question, they just focus on the sounding of the speaker. For example, when they say like, For example, there is a like phrase or a word in a when the speaker say like a department, and then some of the students tend to find the word department in the questions just because they heard that word. So this is what you need to remember, that what you need to remember is that most of the time the correct answer from the listening is not the exact sound that you listen. And the other thing I think is about casual expression. The reason why I say this because in the first 30 question of the listening, most of the time the phrases or the word of the vocabulary that used by the speakers are normally academic. Some of them are just a casual expression. Some of them like idioms, for example, which is not very common to be used in academic context. So you also need to remember that not most of the time that you will be getting the academic related topic, but some of the time, sometimes, and even like most of the time, you'll be getting the type of question that are related to typical expressions, the conversation between friends, the conversation between classmates, between schoolmates, and any things like that. Okay, so idiom, phrasal verb, there are the common type of questions that you will get in listening test, and there are other more that I couldn't explain one by one. So let's proceed to the example of the listening section. So I'm not providing the audio, I've just give the illustration of the example, the question, yeah, in a written text. For example, if the question is Billy, if the dialogue is like this, Billy really made a big mistake this time. Yes, he forgot to turn in his research paper. What does the woman say about Billy? So most of the time, the answer is the restatement of the statement from the second speaker. So it says yes, he forgot to turn in his research paper. So what do you think is the answer? Is it A, it was the first time he made a mistake, or B, he forgot to write his paper, or C, he turned in the paper in the wrong place, or D, he didn't remember to submit his assignment? What do you think is the answer? If assuming the speaker say this, he forgot to turn in his research paper, what do you think is the answer? A, B, C, or D?
D.
Yeah, exactly, correct. It's D. He didn't remember to submit his assignment. And if you see this answer, it's quite different with actually the statement in terms of the sound, but in terms of meaning. So you need to focus on the meaning. You shouldn't focus on the word or phrases that is used. You need to focus on the meaning. We also talked about synonym before. He forgot. The reason why D is the best answer because that is exactly the restatement of the second speaker. He forgot to turn in his research paper. He didn't remember is the synonym of he forgot. And then submit is the synonym of turn in. And his assignment is the synonym of research paper. If you pay attention with the other, there is a paper in this context like the same sound, but it's not the correct answer, even forgot, because it's not like he forgot to write the paper, but he forgot to turn in the research paper. Writing and turn is a different has a different meaning. And the other context is like there's another paper in this one, and there is turn in the paper in the wrong place, which is exactly the different context with what the speakers say in the recording, in the assumed recording. And also the A, it was the first time he made a mistake. Totally unrelated with the question. That's the first example. Second example, still related to the synonym. And also second speaker. Why is Barbara feeling so happy? She just started working in a real estate agency. What does the man say about Barbara? In your textbook, you read A, she always liked her work in real estate. B, she began a new job. C, she just bought some real estate. And D, she bought a real estate agency. What is the answer for this one?
B.
Yeah, the answer is correct. It's B. She began a new job. And also, again, the restatement of the second speaker. She just started working in a real estate agency. She began a new job. Began is a synonym of started. And then a new job is the job in a real estate, working in a real estate agency. Similar meaning. If you pay attention with the other answers, it will be tricky if you're only concerning on the sound, because as you see, there's some of the phrases that are very, very similar with what the speakers say. For example, like real estate in A. She always like her work in real estate. And the speaker doesn't really talk about her interest in working there, right? Because she talk about she started working in real estate agency, and also bought some real estate. She didn't buy it. She started working there, so it has nothing to do with the selling and buying and all that. And the other thing is she bought a real estate agency, which is also not related. This is the last example for the listening one. Why couldn't Mark come with us? He was searching for a new apartment. What does the woman say about Mark? In your textbook, you read he was in a department office. B, he was looking for a place to live. C, he was working on his research project. And D, he had an appointment at church. What do you think is the answer?
It's B, sir.
Yes, it's B. He was looking for a place to live. Again, similar pattern, a restatement of the second speaker. He was searching for a new apartment, has the same meaning with he was looking for a place to live. Looking for is a synonym of searching, and then a place to live is a synonym of new apartment. Remember, if just like what I mentioned earlier, if you pay attention with the sound, you heard like apartment. Ada mungkin tadi kayak ada man-mannya, so maybe department. So if you are like try to answer a question based on that mindset or perspective, I think you will definitely will write the wrong answer. Because there are some of the answer in this option that are quite similar with this with the expression from the speaker, like department. Padahal beda sekali apartment sama department. Maybe they have similar sound, but they have different, totally different meaning. Juga yang Charlie, he was working on his research project, is also like totally different. He was working on his research project. It has nothing to do with work. Research project, in the sentence itu searching mencari, sedangkan ini research project. Different between search and research. Specific research project, different meaning. He had an appointment. Apartment, appointment, really different, so different. And apalagi ini yang charge, yang ini bilang search, ini kayak chart. Sound is similar, but the meaning are different. So that is just some of the typical question that you will have in listening test. Maybe in the test, there are much more complicated question than this. But what I can tell you is mainly what you expect from the listening is usually the restatement from the second speaker. You need to understand the context. You need to focus on the meaning. Okay, and also pay attention with synonym, because most of the time the answer in the options are the synonym from the expression that are given from the speaker in a question. That's the common example. That's about listening. And if you have any question before I continue to reading, please let me know. About listening, any question? Yeah, I think we can open Q&A for listening before I proceed to reading, if you guys have. Okay, so far so good. If there is no question, let's continue to the next section, yeah. The next section selanjutnya reading comprehension. These are the common descriptions about reading comprehension. Total pertanyaannya 50 questions, 50 pertanyaan, and most of the questions are normally time, like from magazine, from journals, from newspaper, and other academic related texts. Untuk durasinya, durations 55 minutes. So the total of the reading comprehension question 55 minutes, which means for one question you need to do in 1 minute, like 1 minute and a few seconds. So because the total question is 50 and you have 55 minutes, which means in one question you need to finish or complete it at least or around 1 minute. And the passages is about 5 reading passages. So there are 5 reading passages. I think the question is about maybe 8 to 11 or 9 to 12, or let's say around 10. Yeah, not exactly 10. Sometimes like less than 10, just sometimes above 10, but like around that. And usually like 5 passages with a total of 50 question. And the question, just like the listening one, multiple choice question. Pertanyaan juga pilihan ganda ya. Some of the typical, I don't want to say typical questions. Typical question, these are the common typical question in reading. There's a question related to main idea questions. Ada yang berhubungan tentang main idea. There is related to inference question. Inference is like an implied questions. Ini pertanyaan yang tidak tersirat begitu ya, yang tidak eksplisit dijelaskan di teks. There is another type of question which is about stated and unstated details. Kalau inference tadi dia unstated, not stated. So the answer is normally implied, or in bahasa Indonesia sirat. You cannot explicitly find it in the text. Stated and unstated detail is the opposite. The answer are usually stated in the text. The other type is pronoun referent. Pronoun referent is about pronoun. Usually the type of question is like the word they refer to, the word it refer to, all those kind of question about pronoun. And yeah, I think this is the other most common type question is word meaning, the question about your vocabulary. So I'll give you some of the questions, some of the example of the reading questions. I just give you 2 type of question. There are a lot if I can give you, but I just give you 2 to give you the idea about the type of questions. First, for the first example, ini tentang main idea question ya. You can see this is the example of the piece of text. Normally in the reading test, the text is longer than this, lebih panjang biasanya teksnya. But the sample question type is quite similar. What is the topic of this passage? So if the question is what is the topic of this passage, what is the main idea, what is the best title, is normally related to main idea questions. And what I can tell about main idea question is normally the answer is in the first line. So this is only 1 paragraph, but if you have several paragraphs, normally the answer is the topic sentence or the main point of the whole paragraph that you can find in the first line in each paragraph. So that's the main idea question. This is only 1 paragraph, so you can just place it in the first sentence. If you see the question, what is the topic of this passage? You can see there's an example of answer in here. The answer is how intelligence differs from reasoning in this word. And the reason why this is the best answer, and this answer can be found in the first line of the sentence. In the philosophy of John Dewey, a sharp distinction is made between intelligence and reasoning. And this is exactly what the first line stated. So you can find it in the first line. Intelligence differs from reasoning. And also the synonym. Sharp distinction between intelligence and reasoning. Intelligence differ related similarly with the word distinction from reasoning in Dewey's word. So the answer for the main idea question is make sure not too narrow or not too wide or not too broad. Is the restatement or the main point that you can find in the first sentence. If you pay attention with the other option are the common wrong answers in main idea questions. Some of the reasons are because 1, it is too narrow, or 2, it's too broad, or 3, it's not related. For example, if you see the option A, the example of option A, ya, contoh pilihan A, the intelligence of John Dewey. If you see this answer, the intelligence of John Dewey, You can see if you compare in the first line, yes, the first text talks about discuss about intelligence, but it also discuss about reasoning. So that's why option A is too narrow because it denies these other important factors or important topic in this sentence. That's why option A is wrong because it's too narrow. It doesn't reflect or represent the main idea of the paragraph. And similarly with option C, same problem, too narrow. Dewey's idea on the ability to reason. There is the idea of reasoning in the sentence in this paragraph, but in option C only focuses on that, the ability to reason, while ignoring the fact that this kind of distinction also makes not only reasoning but also intelligent. That's why option C is also wrong because of the same problem. And option B, the reason why it is wrong because it's too broad. In option B, if you see distinction made by John Dewey, but in the sentence, it's not only this distinction in general, but the distinction is made between intelligent and reasoning by John Dewey. That's why I'm not sure if I pronounced the name correctly, but yeah, let's. What my point is, option B is too broad because John Dewey discusses about the distinction between intelligent and reasoning, while option B only is only written here distinction made by John Dewey. That's why like too broad because it's too general. It's not very specific. So you have to avoid the type of answer in the reading, especially for main idea question. The answer that is too broad or too narrow, yang terlalu luas, yang terlalu broad, atau terlalu singkat. That's the first example about main idea. The second one about word, this is the second example and maybe the last examples of the reading section before we continue to the structure and reading expression. Faced with serious threat to its future, the company is taking steps to improve its outlook. The sample of the question, the word steps, this is the example of word meaning question. The word steps in line 1 could best be replaced by. You see step in here, and normally in the word meaning question, I think if you have a lot of vocabulary, you have a rich of vocabulary resources, I think you can easily answer this type of question. But if you don't worry about it because you can still understand the question from the context. For example, the word step in line 1 could best be replaced by, you can see in this context, faced with serious threat to its future, the company is taking steps to improve its outlook. The word step in line 1 could best be replaced by the company is taking step. If you understand about the context, step. Company is taking stairs. Itu kan kayak nggak make sense ya. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense if you understand like from the expression the company is taking stairs. Karena tidak mungkin perusahaan mengambil tangga misalnya. So the company is taking steps, taking action, melakukan aksi, melakukan tindakan to improve its outlook. And the other thing, footprints, although in related to the context, is not relevant, related with the context of text. So that's why the best answer is C, actions, simply because it has similar meaning with the context in the sentence or in the paragraph. That's about the reading sections. We're going to continue to structure this, but before that, any question? Listening and reading? You can ask question if you like. Gimana? No questions so far? Okay, I'm going to continue with the structure and written expression. Or I can say this is a grammar test. Ini tes tentang grammar. I'm very sure, especially the English literature students, you have been familiar. Of course, you are familiar with grammar because you have this structure subject in your class, in some of your classes, right? So yeah, I hope this is not a new thing for you. So structure and written expression. Untuk structure written expression, biasanya second part of the task, the two part. Part pertama itu structure part. Structure part is question 1 to 15, pertanyaan 15 nomor 1 sampai nomor 15 itu structure part. So in the structure part, you need to complete the sentences. You complete the sentences. So for example, yeah, the sentence is not complete. So the options provided is the one that can complete the sentence. So that's the first part. And the second part is the written expression part. Bagian written expression adalah what a lot of people say is an error analysis. This is question 16 to 40, pertanyaan 16 sampai 20, sampai 40, dan pertanyaan itu adalah error analysis in which you need to find you need to find the wrong choice, the wrong options, the wrong phrase or the wrong word in the sentence. Yang dicari itu kesalahannya. That's why it's called error analysis. Itu untuk bagian 2, question 16 to 40. The total 40 question I just mentioned before, 15 question for part 1 and 25 question for part 2. And for structure, it has the least time. Waktunya paling sedikit dibandingkan dengan section yang lain, yaitu only 25 minutes. Cuma 25 menit. You have to be quick. Complete one answer, one question in around a minute or a minute and a few seconds, but in the structure and written expression part, you need to complete the answer less than a minute. Because if you take more than 1 minute for one single questions, you are going to be running out of time, because you have 40 questions and you only have 25 minutes for the whole part, for the whole question. So that's why you have to be quick in terms of answering the questions. You don't have to rush, but you just need to be quick and do not take too long time to answer the single questions, because you have only 25 minutes for the whole part. That's for structure and written expression. And then skillnya sangat-sangat banyak ya, very most common skill tested, and the grammar. There are more theories, more grammar grammar concept that you need to master in order to answer this question well. Some of these skills are written here. You can read it by yourself. Yeah, for example, like, the skill about subject and verb. I think that's the core skill, because normally in a sentence, you need to complete the sentence, especially in the first part. So you need to understand and you need to make sure that that sentence has at least a subject and a verb, because that's the primary requirement. You can call a sentence. You can't call a sentence if it has no subject or verb. It has to have a subject and a verb, because that's the basic requirement to have a sentence. That's why the skill about subject and verb is very, very essential in TOEFL test. Appositive questions, present participle and past participle, noun clause, adjective clause. I think if I describe about each of this skill, it usually take a single session to learn about one skill and also to practice about that skill. That's why I don't think I'm going to explain you in detail about all of these skills. So the point is this: you just need to be familiar. This is the most common skill that are going to be tested in part 2. Yeah, clauses, like noun clause, adjective clause, adverb clause, conjunction, connectors. There's inverted questions, macam-macam yang lain lagi ya, seperti parallel structure, comparative and superlative. You will be getting the question about noun, about adjective, about verb. Bahkan verbnya juga ada yang tenses ya. You have to understand about the most common tenses, because sometimes the question is related to that. Sometimes even other than tenses, the verb juga ada active and passive sentence. So you need to understand and differentiate between active and passive sentence, kalimat aktif sama kalimat pasif. You understand the role of conjunction. You understand preposition. I didn't write preposition here, but yeah, preposition. And then adjective and adverb, some of the most common type of question. You need to understand what is the function of adjective, what is the function of adverb, and how they are used in a sentence. There are a lot of things, and it takes normally a lot of time to answer this type of questions and to learn about this and to master about all of these skills. Maybe it takes less than a month or a month if you do it intensively. But yeah, that's why, as I told you, I don't think I could explain like one by one because it takes like a quite adequate amount of time, not a short amount of time to explain about this specific skill. But what I will do later, I'm going to show you some of the questions from these common skills that maybe to test your understanding about this topic. Okay, so yeah, that's the common skills. And next, maybe the next one, I already have several questions that will test your understanding about this. So we can have a little bit of practice. And then before that, maybe any question before we continue to the practice part? Any question before we continue to the practice part? No? Alessandro, no question in your chat for me?
Ada sih sebenarnya sir, cuman masih mau kenapa nih?
Sandro?
Halo sir.
Yes. Yes, Alessandro.
Nah ini most common skill tested yang tadi ada beberapa yang masih baru gitu kayak apa tadi ya? Para structure, structure sama inverted subject and verb. Ternyata kayak masih apa ya, masih baru gitu di selama kuliah sastra Inggris, kayak baru pernah dengar beberapa skill ini.
Yes.
Nah itu yang saya mau tanya, cuman masih ini dulu, mau cari tahu sendiri dulu, nanti kalau nggak mengerti baru tanya ke Sir.
Oke. Let's continue the practice. Jadi selanjutnya kita practice sessions. Saya sudah prepare several questions and I want you to answer the questions, ya. So write your answer in the chat box. Oke? Beberapa contoh soal structure dan written expression. Saya nggak usah menjelaskan teorinya karena banyak sekali, tapi saya langsung proceed to the practice. Ini cuma tes saja ya. To test your idea about the typical question in TOEFL dan juga ya the type of question that you expect to have, and we'll discuss about it a little bit about that. Jadi when I give the question, please write your answer in the chat box. Ditulis jawabannya di chat box ya. Question number 1. So write your answer in the chat box. Dengan waktu 1 minute. Nggak usah disampaikan jawabannya, ditulis saja. Saya mau lihat. All of you can participate. All of you. If you want to test your skill, your understanding. I have like about 10 to 15 questions, so this is the first one. Write your answer in the chat box. Udah one answer, yang lain cepat jawab. The other. You have 1 minute. Yeah, it seems like a lot of students answer C, Charlie, including Zain Malik. We have Zain Malik here. Zain Malik in our room. Oh my God. So Zain Malik also answer C, yeah? And the others, oh no, still no different answers. All of them are C. 20-second more. If you wanna answer your answer, write it on the chat box right now. Still all of them still C. Yes, everyone answers C. Okay, the answer correct. You guys get the correct answer for the first one, traffic. The reason why C, I think it's very clear. I think you know that as well, because it seems like all of you get the correct answer simply because this sentence has no subject, right? It's only a verb, which is was back up. As I told you before, a sentence has to have a subject and a verb. And the what is missing in the sentence is a sentence, the subject. That's why what is needed is a subject. But actually, if you pay attention with this, the subject is actually can be two, C and D. But the reason why is C simply because the verb is was back up, which is singular, right? That's why you need to have a singular subject, which is traffic. Cars can be subject, but why it is wrong? Because it's plural and was is singular. That's why it's wrong. And the other option, like yesterday and in the morning, is not the correct choice simply because yesterday and in the morning couldn't be a subject. Subject normally a person or a pronoun or the thing. So it can be most of the time like noun or pronoun. Continue with. Kayaknya ini mau apa kasih tanda-tanda juga. So I'm gonna end show first, and I'm going to post it again. Wait a second. Okay. Wait for the second one. Okay, bisa kasih tanda-tanda. Okay, the second example. Write your answer 1 minute. Ini masih yang structure ya, yang structure itu yang melengkapi kalimat. Yeah, it seems like still the same answer from all of you, for most of you. Even Zain Malik gives the reason because B is the answer that contain verb on it. Okay, good reason. Yes, for example B, the answer is B, just like what Zain Malik said. The reason why it's B because there is no verb. We need a verb. That's why that's the best answer. Engineers is a subject in the sentence, but there is no verb. It's missing. That's why we need a verb. The only verb in the option is B. Necessary, it's not a verb. Hopefully, it's not a verb. Next month is not a verb. Verb is an action. Okay, I think you're familiar with verb. If you learn about tenses, that are the example of verb, all of them. That's why the best answer is B. Let's continue with the two questions, still easy for you. Yeah, let's proceed to the next one. Example 3. Actually, I just give some of the easy question, by the way. So I hope you all get it right for all the questions. Example 3, please send your answer. 1 minute. Yeah, for example 3, all of you, I think all of you answered D, and that is the correct answer. Good job. Still easy, yeah? Very, very easy for you. Well done. The reason the answers, wait a second. You guys answer, oh D, yeah, will be. Okay, the reason why answer B is the correct answer because we have the subject in here, the boy already, and the verb going in here is not a verb, but it's part of the verb. It's not a complete verb. That's why you need a helping verb. In this context, D is a good helping verb, will be going. That's why D is the correct answer. A, why is the wrong answer? Because we got a subject already. He is another subject, so it's double subject. B, same reason, is a double subject as well because there is he and we already have a subject. Is relaxing is not the correct answer. The reason is why, because a double subject is relaxing and then there is going in this context. If there is a conjunction, for example, like is relaxing and going, that is going to be correct. But the problem is there is no conjunction. That's why it's a double verb. That's why it's not a correct answer. Example 4. So by the way, I have 7 examples for the structure part, and I have 7 or 8 examples for structure expression. So this is the fourth one. 4 more to go for the first part. Give me, send your answer, please. 1 minute. $30. Please send your answer. Okay, good job. Everyone answer B. Correct answer. B is the answer. The reason there is no subject. Yeah. With his friend is not a subject. It's an object of prepositions. And has is not. Has can be a verb. Has found. But the problem is there's no subject if you just has. Similar case with later and when. This is not a subject. This sentence doesn't have subject. Okay, 3 ways to go. Example 5. What is the answer? Send me your answer for number 5. 30 seconds. Okay, everyone answer D. Good job, my friend. I should have given you the more complicated answer before. You got it like 5 out of 5. I thought some of this participant are just starting to learn TOEFL, but yeah, great job. Right now, no, appositive is, by the way, the noun phrase that give extra information about the subject. So this is the characteristic of appositive questions. Like George, there's a two comma, right? There's two comma here between the subject, and there is a verb after the second comma. So in this case, it's an appositive questions, and in regard to appositive question, we just need to find the answers, which is noun or noun phrase, which is the noun phrase. This one, ABC, is not a noun phrase. That's why the correct answer is D. Example 6. Two more examples for the structure part. Please send your answer. Ini rata-rata jawab A, yeah, that's correct. Now is the answer. We already have subject in here, the child, and then the verb is. Okay, that's why the other choice like is and was are the wrong answers. The reason why are wrong because there is subject already, so it's a double subject if you choose that options. Similar case with C, the reason why it is wrong because we already have subject in this question. That's why we don't need another subject. That's what the best answer is now. Oh my God, well done, 6 out of 6. Let's continue with the last question for the structure part. Present your answer. 1 minute. Okay, the final question, we have like the finally different answer from all of you. Yeah, we have someone answer B. There is one answer A. There is also D. Yeah, good variety of answer on the final questions. 20 seconds more. Anyone would like to send? Please send your answer if you haven't. 20 seconds more. We have a little bit variety of the answer for now. Yeah. Ada yang jawab B, ada yang jawab A, ada yang jawab D. How about the others? What is your answer? What is Zain Malik? Zain Malik, what is your answer, Zain Malik? Karena Gigi Hadid, nggak ada di sini Gigi Hadid. What is Gigi Hadid, Zain Malik? Is she here? Gigi Hadid. I don't see Gigi Hadid here. No Gigi Hadid. Maybe she's taking care of the kids. Is she? She's taking care of Kai. Oh, that's the name of the kid. I don't know that. Okay. Kai. Okay, B, D, and A. The correct answer for this is definitely D, is delta, right? The reason why it's delta, I think it's quite clear. There is a subject in this sentence, packages, verb will arrive. So you shouldn't choose any other verb, okay, or even subject. A and B, definitely wrong, because it's a subject, yeah, have mailed, were mailed, that's a verb, sorry. So if you choose these two options, it's a double verb. That's why it's not the right options. Them is a pronoun and it's an object pronoun. This is wrong. The reason why it's wrong simply because there's already a subject, and this is a pronoun and an object pronoun. Object pronoun is usually after the verb, not before the verb. That's why this is wrong. The best answer is D. Okay, good. I think most of you got the correct answer. Let's try one, two, or two more questions. This is actually some of the very easy question in the TOEFL. Let's proceed. I'm going to give you some of the medium type questions. Wait a second. Not in my slide, because I feel like you got it almost right, like all of you. So I'm going to give you another one from my handbook, from my teaching handbook. Okay, I want you to answer question number 5. Number 5, the greenhouse effect occurs blank heat radiated from the sun. So answer this question, number 5, A, B, C, or D. Okay, number 5. Okay, 1 minute. That's a medium question. Because you got all the question almost right, the easy one. So I'm going to challenge you for the medium one before I continue to the written expression. There is one answer. There you go. Udah mulai variatif jawabannya ini. 2 first questions. Ada B, ada C. Okay, how about the others? You still have time. I'm going to challenge you, okay? Number 5. This is the medium type. The previous one is the, easy one. So this one is the medium one. Take your time. Number 5, yeah? Greenhouse effect. Still 3 answers. Come on, more. The others, like, where are the other 20? Send me an answer. This is, just a test of your understanding. So, I mean, it's always fine if you get it wrong. You learn, right? Twenty seconds. Okay, there's some answer B, there is answer C. B, and then there's answer C, and then, yeah, and most of you answer C, and that is correct. So well done. The answer C is the answer. The greenhouse effect occurs when the Earth's atmosphere traps heat radiated from the sun. The reason why I say is because if you pay attention with the sentence, it go two clauses. There is one clause, the greenhouse effect occurs. There's another clause, the Earth atmosphere traps. And this kind of atmosphere trap all in all the options, which means there are two clauses. If there are two clauses in a sentence, what you need to have is a conjunction, is a connector. That's what the only answer that is correct here is C, when the Earth atmosphere traps. There's another connector actually in option A, which is when does the Earth's atmosphere trap. But the problem with the answer A is because after the conjunction, suppose should be followed by subject and verb, but in this context, it is not followed by subject and verb, and in fact, it's followed by verb and subject. That's why it's not the correct answer. That's why the best one is C. You got it right. Good job. Number 6, one more or two more, one more, I guess, or two more. We'll see. Number 6, give me your answer. The Rose Bowl's blank place on New Year's Day is the oldest post-season on collegiate football game in the United States. A, B, C, or D? Please send your answer. Okay, most of you answered C, and that is exactly the answer, which takes. There is subject already, the Rose Bowls, there is a verb is, that's why you don't need another subject and verb. The other options, other than option C, are subject or verb. A is a verb, takes, so it's a double verb, not the answer. B, it takes, there is a verb as well, takes, and there's a subject, double subject and verb is wrong. Delta took is a verb. There's also there is another double verb problem. That's why the best answer is C, which takes. I think your grammar teacher is great. I think you're doing very, very good so far. Maybe the last one last one, 12. There's also another medium questions. How about number 12? Give me your answer for number 12. Second. Still two answers. How about the others? What is your answer? Gimana, not sure? I haven't got more answer. Okay, I think I'm going to answer it immediately. The one that answer A, I think that's correct. The answer is A, is an exhibit. This is actually the topic about inverted subject and verb. If you see this in this sentence, it started with the feature at the Henry Ford Museum. This is a prepositional place. So the theory about the inverted subject and verb is that whenever you have a prepositional place at the beginning of the sentence, so the subject and verb should be inverted. That's why the first thing that you need to find is a verb, which is A, and sorry, not an A. The A is not the answer. Sorry, C is the answer. So the first thing that you need to find is a subject, which is an exhibit, and then the verb is subject. Already. That's why the best answer is C. There's a pattern. That is the pattern for the inverted subject and verb question, which is why the best answer is C. The other one do not follow that pattern. That is the reason. Okay, I'm going to continue with the question for written expression question. I have about 7 to 8 question as well. Tapi yang selanjutnya ini dia error analysis. Okay, so you need to find the wrong answer. Let's start with number 1. On the floor of the Pacific Ocean is hundreds of the flat-top mountains, more than a mile between sea level. So please send your answer for these questions. Remember, this is a written expression ya, jadi yang dicari yang salah. Error analysis. Okay, the answer for example number 1 is, what is it? Yes, most of you answer B, and that's correct. The answer is B. Oh, for this one, I want you to send your answer and then to also like write what should be the better word or the better phrase or the better options to replace that word. Okay? Jadi ditulis jawabannya sekalian misalnya seperti ini, nomor 1 ini is kan salah, harusnya apa gitu ya. This one is wrong, should be what? Should be are, right? The reason why it should be are because hundreds. Ini juga udah inverted subject and verb. The subject is hundreds, that's why the verb should be in plural because the subject is plural. That's why the answer is are. Should be the option is wrong because it should be are. So the next question, please tell me the answer and also the replacement ya, pengganti dari jawaban yang salah. Number 2. Okay, number 2, the best answer is become, yeah. Become, that's the best answer. It's wrong because it should be became. One of your friends say it should be became. Yeah, that's correct. The reason why it should be became because the first clause you see is in the past, signed, right? Is in a past tense form. So normally, if the sentence, if there are two clauses in a sentence, normally if one of the sentence in past form, the other sentence should be in the past form as well. So it should be became. And even in the present form, this is also wrong because in the present form, you see the subject is his name is singular. That's why the verb should be in the singular form. Jadinya becomes, ya, his name becomes. Kalau di present juga tetap salah. Tapi yang tepat tadi harus memang pas, yaitu became, which use the verb to form. Let's proceed to example number 3. What is your answer for number 3? What do you think is the answer? Okay, most of you answer B. That's correct. Was declare. That's the answer for number 3. Simply because, yeah, some of your one of your friends say should be declared. That's correct. Harusnya declare, ya. The reason why it should be declared because this is a past tense passive sentence form. Bentuknya harus kalimat pasif. Ya, lihat ciri-cirinya dari sini. By the Supreme Court. Jadi harusnya the segregation in public school bukan was declared, should be was declared, ya, dideklarasikan. Should be in a passive sentence, and the passive sentence always use the verb 3 form, bentuk kata kerja bentuk ketiga, not verb 1. The other simple reason is why B is wrong, and you see there is to be in here, in the sentence was, and if you see the to be form like is, MR, was, or were, or other form of to be, make sure it is not followed with verb 1, because it is, if it is followed by verb 1, that must be wrong, because to be as a helping verb can only be followed by verb ing or verb 3, present participle or past participle. I'm going to limit to 2 more because we don't have much time. Let's proceed to the example 4. 2 more. This is the before the final one. What is the answer for this one? Sirius star is the most brightest star in the sky with an absolute magnitude of about 23 times that of sun. What is the answer? Please send your answer as soon as possible. Okay, some of you answer A, and that is exactly the answer. The reason why it's wrong because the most, yeah, I think correct when your friends say it should be the brightest is enough. Brightest is a superlative form. Most is also a superlative form. The problem with A is a double superlative. Yeah, double superlative. There is the most, and there's also brightest. Since brightest is from the word bright, which is a short word, that's why for the superlative form, you just need to add est, brightest. The most is a double superlative. That's why it's the wrong answer. That's why this is the answer, because brightest is enough. And the last one, yeah, this is the last one. Please send your answer because you're going to finish very soon. So please your answer for this last one. What do you think is the answer? Killer whales tend to wander in family cluster that hunt, play, and resting together. What do you think is the answer? Yes, there is an answer C, and that is correct. Resting is the answer. The reason why should be rest. This is a parallel structure questions topic. Hunt, play, all of them are in a pair form in verb 1, semuanya verb 1 ya. Resting is in an ing form. That's why this is not parallel, and all of them are verb. So it should be in a parallel form. It should be hunt, play, and rest without ing. That's why this is the correct, just the answer, yeah? Because resting is wrong. Yeah, I guess that's it. That's pretty much some of the typical questions of the TOEFL. I think it's kind of easy for you, especially some of you. Maybe next time, if we're going to meet again, I'm going to give you the more challenging questions. Okay? So yeah, I guess that's all from me. If there are any questions, please let me know. I'm going to give it back to Alessandro as our moderator. I can accept your question if you have, so let me know. Thank you.
Baik, terima kasih Sir atas materinya. Teman-teman ada yang punya pertanyaan boleh dilontarkan di kolom chat.
Gimana, Sandro? Any question? If there's no questions, we can just wrap up today's meeting. Is there any question, Alessandro, from your chat box? From the chats, like the group, the group chats, I don't see any questions. So if there's no questions, I guess we can just wrap up today's
Ya,
meeting.
Sir, belum ada pertanyaan.
Should we wait?
Sir, can I?
Oh yeah.
Okay. That is about the question in number 6 that I have read. Di pertanyaannya tadi itu, the correct question is which text. Dan itu artinya terdapat 2 kata kerja, dan setahu saya itu dalam satu kalimat itu tidak boleh lebih dari 1 kata kerja. So can you explain about it, sir?
What? Number 6, yeah, this one.
No, that's about the Rose Bowl, sir.
Oh.
Not it.
What is the Rose Bowl? Where are you, Rose Bowl? Which one? That's a good question, Asra. See, because there's a verb as well. That's a good question. So in this question, the Rose Bowl is a subject, and there's also a verb. Acha asks like text is also another verb, which means it's double sub. It's actually not a double verb because there is which is a conjunction, which is a connector, which is a penghubung. That's why it's not a double verb, because which there's a connector yang connect the verb. That's why C is the best answer because there is connector. That's the answer for your question, Aisha. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other question?
Apakah masih ada pertanyaan dari para lain?
Kalau masih ada pertanyaan.
Bagi teman-teman yang hadir di sini, para peserta, saya sudah share info di kolom chat untuk keperluan pengiriman e-certificate. Di kolom chat.
Gimana? Apa masih ada pertanyaan? Any other question? Alessandro, I'm gonna wait for about 2-3 minutes. Yeah, if there is no question, we can just conclude.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. If like after 2-3 more minutes, there is no other question, so I'm actually.
For the participant, we would like you to wait for a while because there will be a photo session in the last year before we are closing the program today.
So Alessandro,
Langsung nggak mau bilang gimana dengan HP maupun dan aku nggak terlalu saking trauma sekali. Iya. Di atas meja kita kasih ya. Kalau malam, saya juga tuh kalau mau tidur pasti naik langsung pasti jauh kasih. Mau kursi kan tidak ninja orang. Ninja tidur kalau sebelah kan. Kok selama ini aku pakai, enggak pernah mau pakai HP sambil cas. Saya bilang ke Riri, jangan nih Banu, kita rusak. Bilang Kak iya.
question number 12, ada yang tanya question number 12. Number 12 yang tadi itu C, an exhibit is. The reason why, because actually in the sentence, there's no subject and verb. That's why the answer is, sorry, it's not C, it's A, is an exhibit. The answer is A because it's an inverted subject and verb. Verb precede the subject is, and then the subject, an exhibit. That's the answer for number 12. Okay, it's an inverted subject and verb because a prepositional place. Ada preposisi tempat di sini, ada Henry Ford Museum. That's why verb dulu, A, baru subject and exhibit. The answer is A. Okay, thank you for the questions. Any other question?
Okay, Anda, is there any questions?
Berhubung tidak ada pertanyaan lagi, berhubung tidak pertanyaan lagi, tidak ada pertanyaan lagi, saya akhiri saja. Sebelumnya saya mau mengajak teman-teman para peserta untuk foto bareng.
Yeah, please on your camera. On camera.
Teman-teman bisa nyalakan kameranya.
Yes.
Haki bisa bantu.
Should I stop the sharing? I should stop the share, right?
All right.
You know, capture everyone. By the way, thank you guys. Thank you for having me. Himpunan Mahasiswa Sastra Inggris. Ma'am Feby, thank you.
Welcome. Please wait for a while.
It's a pleasure to meet you and to share that. Maybe next
We'll
time.
give this letter to you through your email or PA, yeah, for the certificate.
Sure.
Okay. All right. On cam, everybody. 1, 2, 3. Ready? Okay. The next slide. 1, 2, 3. 6, 8. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Next. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. Let me stop sharing first, and then wait, you. All right. Once more ya. Sertakin kameranya.
Oh, one more.
Yes. Well, please wait. 1. Yang lain boleh diaktifkan. 2, 2, 3. Oke. Slide 2. 1, 2, 3. Oke deh. Alright. Thank you everybody. Thank you so much. Sertakin, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Proceed,
Good luck for you.
letter if you still need more information. Our YouTube channel ya, Sastra Inggris Unifa. Okay?
Do not forget to subscribe.
Right.
Yeah, please subscribe.
Okay, ma'am.
Please help. Okay deh.
Give your
Bye
comment.
everybody.
Bye.
We end the meeting. Thank you so much. Have a nice weekend ya. Stay healthy.
Everyone, see you in the next
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you, Miss.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
Goodbye. Hi.
Bye.
Thank you.